Welcome to the Top Talent and Immigration Show with your host, Kaushik Ranchod. In this show, we discuss how companies and top talent in America overcome immigration obstacles and help create freedom and prosperity in America.
Kaushik Ranchod here. I'm the founder of Top Talent and Immigration, where I talk with leading researchers, business leaders, and attorneys on how they overcome big challenges in the immigration process and business. In this episode, we are going to be discussing citizenship, some uncommon things that you may not be aware of. And today, this episode is brought to you by Ranchod Law Group. Ranchod Law Group's mission is to provide freedom and prosperity for immigrants and help more businesses to connect to top talent. Ranchod Law Group believes that immigrants add tremendous value to the U.S. economy and helps companies facing a shortage of talent to make up that gap and grow thanks to the immigrant talent that contribute to their bottom line. They also help immigrants to navigate the complicated immigration process today. Ranchod Law Group has been in business for nearly 20 years in Northern California and serves clients nationwide. All right, I am so excited to talk about citizenship with you today because that's the final destination. A lot of times people will be like, oh, well, I just want to apply for citizenship, not realizing that there's a whole process that you have to go through. First getting your visa, and then after getting a visa, a green card. Or sometimes you can jump right to the green card process, but typically, starting off with the visa process, then go into the green card, and then citizenship. So if you are lucky enough to already have a green card, then you're ready to apply for citizenship. So when can you? So typically, if you received your green card through employment and not through marriage, then you need to have been a permanent resident for at least 5 years. You can apply 90 days before that time period. This is really important that I want you to know, that you have to show that you lived at least 3 months in the state or USCIS district where you apply. So recently I had a client that came in and unfortunately was in a different USCIS district, applied and then moved and got their application denied. So this is a sneaky little rule that you may not be aware of, and I want you to be aware of it. If you're going to be moving, make sure that you comply with this rule and time it accordingly, because I don't want to see your case get, I don't want to see you get a denial for something as silly as this. Another rule that I really want you to be aware of is the continuous residence requirement, where you need to continuously reside for at least 5 years before the date of filing for your citizenship. So this doesn't mean that you have to be in the United States for all 5 years. It means continuous residence. So that's the legal term of art. What does continuous residence mean? So it means that you want to show that you haven't had an interrupted disruption in your residency. So if we're going to talk numbers, typically anything over 180 days could be brought into question of whether you've made continuous residence. But also if you're outside the United States for long periods of time, even less than 180 days, the government can look at that as well. And another important requirement that you need to be aware of is that you need to have been physically present in the United States for at least 30 months out of the 5 years before filing. So here you got to look at all of your entries and exits, and it's really important to make sure that you haven't been gone more than that amount of time. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to be eligible for citizenship. So sometimes this just comes to a matter of timing. You just add up the amount of time, and then we can figure out the date of when you're actually eligible to apply if you've been outside of the United States for a significant amount of time. And then, of course, you have to be able to read, write, and speak basic English. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, but in general, you're going to need to meet those requirements. And you need to be a person of good moral character within the last 5 years. This is extremely important. So if you've had any criminal convictions during that time, you should consult with an immigration attorney to see how that's going to affect your good moral character. And if you have any criminal convictions, you'll also want to make sure that you're not deportable. So in any of those two instances, you really want to consult with the immigration attorney to make sure that that's not going to, first of all, derail you living in the United States, and then second, your entire application as well. And then there's going to be a civics exam, and and that exam is to make sure that you have understanding of the U.S. history and government. It's pretty simple. You can study for that exam. You can get that materials off of the USCIS website to study for that exam. So that I'm not worried about. When you have that interview, they're going to do a test to make sure that you can understand basic English. So they want to make sure that you can speak English well. There'll be a simple writing test as well. They'll ask you to read aloud one of 3 sentences correctly to demonstrate your ability to read in English. So these are pretty basic exams. If your English isn't that great, I would recommend studying, because this is so important. And it's not that difficult. I don't want to belittle the studying process, but you can do it. Don't give up. You have your green card. Anything is possible, especially getting your citizenship. And you're also going to have a writing test as well. And for the civics test, there's 100 civic questions, and you'll be asked up to 10 questions out of that 100 to make sure that you qualify. I have given you some insights into the citizenship process. I hope this is helpful for you, because eventually, even if you're not eligible right now, you can plan ahead, especially with the trips, because that's something very important. If you have this as a priority, if you have this as a goal, you want to make sure that you plan your trips accordingly, so you're going to make sure that you're going to fall within the requirements to be able to apply for citizenship. So I want to thank you for tuning in, my friends, for our Top Talent and Immigration Show. If you have questions, call us at 916-613-3553, and you can hear us next week. Thanks. Have an amazing day.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to click to subscribe, check us out on the web, and we will see you next time.